Alright guys, in this video we're gonna build a 100% automated blog. We're gonna take a YouTube video, get the transcript, get keywords from Ahrefs with a completely free API. So we actually make headings and text that ranks. Then we write a blog, we create a blog image, and put it all together in a nice Airtable so we can run it at scale. So without further ado, let's dive in. Alright, so starting off with the Airtable. So I already did some work prior to the video, so we can go through it a little bit more quickly. But as always, if you want to download this Airtable, download any of the other automations that we're going to set up, so you can just import it into your account. Check out the link in the description below and you can download them for free. It's only currently free, so it will not be free forever. So if you want access to those resources, make sure to hit the link down in the description below and you can just copy them into your account. There's even a guide there how to copy them into your account, so should be good to go. Anyway, still stick around to this video so you understand how it works. But basically, what we're going to do here is we're going to have three different tables. So the first one is going to be the channels. So for now, just kept it super simple, just the name, the URL. And then we're also going to link to the video's record so we can see what videos were related to this channel. So then what we're going to do is we're going to periodically watch the channel, see if there's any sort of new videos. We're going to make sure we don't upload the same video twice by keeping track of the ID and the URLs. We get the title, we get the transcription, and then we link it back to the channel as well, right? So we know what channel we took it from. And then the final table we have here is basically the blocks table. So we're gonna add in the keywords in JSON so that the AI understands what is what. Then it's gonna create an outline based on the keywords. Then it's gonna create an embed for the YouTube video, so we can also link the YouTube video we based the video on inside of the blog. And this is important as well because if someone goes to your blog and they start watching a video on your blog page, it will increase the time someone spends on your website, which is a positive ranking sign. Then here we'll create the final blog. We'll also upload it in a Google Doc, and because it will be in HTML format, it wouldn't really be nice to read here. So if it's in a Google Doc, it's very nice. We'll also create like an image we can use as the header, and then we also link back to the video as well as what channel was it from again. All right, so let's start out with the channels. So I just want to make a quick disclaimer. Don't just rip videos from random creators. Like obviously make sure this is your own content or a company you're working with, or if they have multiple different creators they are working with, make sure you actually own the rights to the videos, or only do it if you're making some sort of compilation site or whatever, like something like that. But make sure to actually have the permission of the owner of the materials to repurpose it into blogs. So just wanted to get that out of the way as a quick disclaimer. But anyway, so basically what we're going to do here is we're going to fill in a channel and then scrape and populate the videos. So obviously I'm just going to start off with my own channel. All right, so this is my YouTube URL. And that's basically it for now. So then we're going to go into make.com and we're going to create a first scenario. So let's call it populate videos. And then the first step is going to be in Airtable. We're going to search a record. We select auto blogger, which is what I call the Airtable base. We go to channels and then we select grid view. Okay. And then as you can see, once we search, it now pulls up the URL of our channel, and then if we have multiple, it will put out multiple, so we can all replenish them at once. So we could do it let's say every 2 weeks. We check 4 channels, and then we populate all of the videos in the videos table, and then our blog starts running, and then our automatic blogging starts running. So this is the first step, and then the second step is we want to use that YouTube API. So if you haven't already, make sure to sign up for Rapid API. So like I said, this has a very generous free plan. So I think, let me show you guys. Yeah, so we can do 500 requests per day for free. So yeah, no problems there to be able to use this for this use case for free. So the first endpoint we're going to use is going to be this one. So it's going to be called channels video. And yeah, basically I'll walk you through how to use this. Right, so we're going to copy this over to make, and then what we're going to do here is HTTP, and then we're going to do make a request. The method is going to be get. The URL I just copied, but this is just the base URL. So we also have to include the endpoint, which is here at top, which is /channel/videos ? And then I use the for username query parameter. Okay, so I just put in a placeholder 1, 2, 3, but this is going to be our channel's name. All right, to put that in, and then we have to select a variable here, which is going to be the username. But as you can see, we only created our URL inside of Airtable, so I'm just going to fix that in a minute.
And then for now, we're just going to add in a header as well, which is going to be our API key. So it's Xrapid API key as a header. And then the value is going to be your API key. And then your API key you can just copy from here, paste it in. And then, like I said, we have to fix the username. So if we just, so it was not valid, so we have to add the method here. So https // hit save. We just go back here, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to parse the URL at the @ sign. So what I'm just gonna do is just do a formula here. So I do username, and then I'll do it based on a formula, so we don't have to fill out information twice. It just automatically formats. And then what we need to do here is, I think, all right, so we're just using this formula that I had ChatGPT write. Then we get the username. So then we go back to make.com to update it. So usually you just have to rerun the module again, so it actually knows what is in there. And as you can see, now the username is in there as well. And then it has to include the @ sign. So I just do @ again, and then username, click OK. And then before we do a test, make sure to parse response on yes, so we can actually select the variables in the next step after we run our test. So I'm just gonna hit save, and I'm gonna say run once. Let's see what happens. All right, so it was successful, and as you can see from the data, we get a long array of videos, and these are my last videos. So this is the video I uploaded yesterday, at the time of this recording, obviously. All right, so the next step, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually check if we already previously processed this video, because otherwise we're gonna run the transcript, run a couple of other modules, and it's just gonna add up in our operations in Make, as well as the API calls, even though I'm not too concerned about the API calls since we have that generous free plan. But anyway, we're just gonna do Airtable, and what we're gonna do is search record. All right, so we set up the search module, and we have to use this formula. So we just call the field right in the Airtable ID, and then we have to use is, and then the quotation marks, and then the data video ID from the ID we just scraped. And then we're just gonna hit OK. All right, so now we search the channels, we get all the videos of the channels, we search our own database. Do we already have this video? And then if not, what we're gonna do is we are going to do another API call. So in this API call, we're not gonna get the videos, but we're gonna get the transcription from the video that we're then gonna feed into ChatGPT to later on make that blog, right? All right, so the next step is to get the transcript. So to get the transcript, we actually have to use two different endpoints. So first, we're gonna have to get the video details, and then in the video details, we're gonna get a URL, which is basically the subtitle URL, and that will give us the subtitles basically. So let's first set up the video details one. So if we just go to the code snippet, we can see we have to get this copied. So if we go back to Make, easy way is just obviously to duplicate this one, and then we just change the endpoint, which in this case it's this. So we change it, and then for the ID, we select the ID from the make a request. So what we have to do here is select the ID, but as you can see, the ID is nested here in an array. So I actually have to do a iterator module, which I forgot to set up here. So let me add that in. So here we go to the flow control, and then an iterator, and then we select the array, which in this case is going to be data, and then we link it to the search record one, and then here we have to change this as well to be the correct ID. So in this case, it's going to be video ID from the iterator. So if you don't know about the iterator, you can check it out on my channel. I have a video specifically going over what it is. But basically, if you have an array, which means it's like a collection of items, like a grocery list, and if you want to go through each of the items in the grocery list, so for example, the grocery name, the grocery price, inside the grocery list, I hope that makes sense, and then you want to use an iterator module to go through it. So in this case, we're doing that, and then we're getting the video ID of every single of those 30 videos, as opposed to just getting the first one. And then we go back to our get video details, and then we also select the video ID, and then we're good to go. So now we can just hit save, and then we actually have to run it once to get the variables for the next step. So an easy way to do it is just to right click and then run it once and just get a video ID. So I'll just get it manually as opposed to just running the whole automation. Otherwise, we're wasting quite a few operations with that, which is a waste. All right, so we got it. And as you can see, we got all the data. And then we duplicate this one more time. And then we're actually going to set up the next step. So if we go back to the API, and then we take a look at the endpoint we need, it's going to be this one. So it's going to be convert, translate, or download the subtitles. As you can see, the endpoint is /subtitle and then $URL. So if we go back and we go to the make request, we can select this. And then we can say /subtitle $URL is. And then here we have to select the subtitle URL. So that we found that in the last step. So if you go to subtitles and then subtitles, and then here it is the URL. All right, we're gonna align this, hit save. So let's actually test this one out as well. So again, we're not gonna run the entire flow. We just go to the previous module we ran manually, and then we can just copy the URL to see if it works. And we have to paste it in, and then we get an error. Okay, so I accidentally deleted that part, which obviously we need, the URL, and then OK. And then as you can see, it's successful, and we get back the data, and it says URL expired, which is probably the case because we ran this call a little bit before, so it just gives you a temporary access, I guess. So yeah, what we'll just do is we'll set it up, and then if this error persists, we'll debug it then. But basically what we want to do now is go to the Airtable, and then we're going to create a record in the videos table. All right, so we're going to get the ID from back here from the iterator. So it's going to be video ID, the URL. We actually never really get the URL, I think. No, we never really get the YouTube URL for some reason. So we're just going to leave that empty. I think we can make it with the video ID. I'll look into that in a bit. Then the title. So if we just type in title, we get that here. And then finally the transcription, but like I said before, it didn't work because the URL is expired. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run it once to see if it works. And then I'm just gonna cut it short and then update it, okay? And then one thing actually we forgot as well, which I just see is, right, we're searching the record to see if it already exists, but then there's no filter set up. So what we do here is if it exists, so if the video ID is already in our database, we don't want to do the whole process again. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a filter that the ID does not exist. Then you can go past. All right, so as you can see, it ran successfully and it added some records. Now just do the final step so that we actually get the transcription. At this point, I kept getting errors that our transcription URLs expired. So I did some debugging on my own, and I will show you the fix now. All right, so I had to do some debugging here, but the reason we get the error is because the URL needs to be URL encoded, which basically means, you for example, you have to replace like the colon with like percentage something. So basically you can do this automatically, which is super easy. You can just go into the field you want to do it for, and then you're going to go to functions, and then you can see encode URL. And then what we have to do is we just have to take this, and then we put it behind, and then between these brackets we have to put in the variable we want to encode, which is going to be our subtitles URL, and then we hit OK. And then let me just try one more time manually so we don't have to run the entire thing again. So we hit run this module, and then we paste in the URL here as the example data. And then, yes, boom, we get a status code 200. And then as you can see, we now have the transcript. So at this point, I ran into another issue where the text was a bunch of collections in an array, which would basically cost us like 1 million operations because every second was a different word. So I had to fix that as well. All right, guys. So one more thing we have to add here as well is the question mark format is TTML. And as you can see, once we run it, we do have a little issue. We get a bunch, let me actually click it. We get a bunch of collections here, and every single one of them, it includes the value, and then it includes attributes, and it basically kind of is a mess, to be honest. So to get the transcript here in Airtable, we actually have to uncheck parse response. So we just get the raw data and then we put it in there. So let me just run it one more time so we can then select the variable. All right, so now I can just select data and we basically have it in there. Gonna hit save. Let's remove some of the tests we just did. And then actually also let's obviously fill out the channel that it was from. So if you just scroll back all the way down to the search record and then we select the ID, that is obviously the channel that's gonna be, that's pulled from because that was the first step in the flow. And then blocks, obviously we can leave empty, click OK, and now let's run it. Right, so we actually ran into an error. So it says it cannot accept the provided value. And my guess is that it's because this video is basically just too long and the text is too much for Airtable to handle. So what I'm just going to do here is say ignore. And basically what it does is whenever there's an error, it will just ignore it and continue. All right, and then we'll just run it one more time. And then you can actually also see the search step in action because it will not run for every single one. So as we can see, it finds a couple of videos and then it's just searching and then, it's just being filtered out because it already exists. And then it should continue with the next one. And then as you can see, it still throws that error because just that one video is just too large. All right, boom, it's done. And if we then go to our Airtable, we can now see we got the IDs in there, we got the titles in there, we got the transcription in there, and then it linked to the channel, which I named own, which is not really that descriptive, but let's just call it Jan's channel. All right, so there we go. And then just let's set up this name field. So I always like to do the name field with a formula, so it's nice and descriptive of what we're doing. So let's call it, in this case, channel. We do like a dash in between. And it basically says Jan's channel and then the title of the video. All right, and let's also fix the URL field so we can turn this into a formula as well. So basically the structure of YouTube's URLs is this. So YouTube watch /v/ and then it is what we have to add in here. Just heart, put it between brackets and then add the and sign. And then we add in the variable, which is gonna be ID. And then we hit save. And then this should be a URL. And yeah, as you can see, it works perfectly fine. All right, so now we have this populated. We're gonna go into the next step of actually getting the blocks ready. All right, now that we have the videos inside of the Airtable, we're gonna do the next step, which is gonna be asking the API of Ahrefs, or the unofficial API, I should say, what is the best keyword for this? And then also, writing the blog, doing all of the next steps. We're gonna do it in one single flow. Yeah, let's dive in. So first step is gonna be, we're gonna search records and we're gonna go to the videos table. We're gonna select the videos table. And then what I wanna do is I wanna have all of the videos that don't have a blog linked to them yet. So I could do that with the formula probably, but I think it's easier just to make a view and it will also make it visual for us in the back end. So going back to the Airtable and then going to videos. And if I just click grid here and then I say no blog, for example. And then I set a filter at the top where I say where the blocks is empty. So there's no block yet, then it will be in this view. We'll search it, and then once we write the block, we'll add it here. So it will disappear from the view. So this will be kind of like our to-do list. So going back in here, let's select that view, just refresh so the view shows up. And then no block, and then we hit OK. Save, just run it once so we get the modules or the variables we can use in the next steps. So as you can see, we got all of the information. So the next step is going to be our first prompt, because I first want to prompt on the transcript like, hey, extract what would be the main Google keyword for this. And then we're going to ask Ahrefs for all of the related keywords. So we're just going to create a completion model. I'll just choose 4.0, add a message, and then at the message we say, first of all, system. All right, so I just wrote a little prompt. Let's see if it works in a bit. But you're an SEO specialist. From this YouTube video title and transcript, extract one single keyword phrase, and I misspelled phrase, as someone might Google, and return it to me. Return only the phrase and nothing else, or my grandma dies. And this might seem a little bit grim, but the AI, it works. If you wanted to listen and have very specific instructions, it works because it knows that, we don't want our grandmas to die, obviously. So another message we're going to add in here, which is going to be user, and then we're going to just add in a title, and then give it the title, which is title, and then transcription is transcription. All right, we're gonna hit save. Now let's actually see if it works. So what I'll do is I'll go back to here, and then I'll just edit this filter for now for testing. So I'm just gonna copy this and add a condition where the name contains exactly this. So we just get one hit basically, as opposed to getting all of the hits. Just a nice easy trick there. And then if we hit run once, it's gonna find one and it's gonna do one completion. And then the result is how to run code in Make for free is the output. All right, so we'll use the Ahrefs API. And again, this is not the official one, because if you take the official one, you're stuck to a pretty hefty plan. So we can just do 50 requests a month for free here. So up to 50 blocks, we can just do it for free. So yeah, pretty nice. We're just gonna start the free plan. You do have to fill in your credit card, but it's not gonna charge you. All right, and then the one we're gonna use is actually gonna be the Google keyword generator. So I tested this out before, and basically what it does is once we input a keyword, it's gonna show us a bunch of related keywords and show the difficulties. So yeah, we'll see in the next steps how we exactly implement it, but for now, we're gonna use this endpoint, so you can follow along setting this up. So we're gonna have to set up the HTTP module again, and then say make a request. And if we go back, we can see the parameters here. So the keyword and the country. So let's focus on the US, right? They are the biggest economy on earth, I think still. Don't quote me on that. But they definitely spend a lot, so it's a nice one I would focus on. But obviously if you're doing this locally, you want to fill in your country here. And then the keyword, I'll just say keyword. So the host is going to be this one. So we're going to copy it over. And then we have to add the endpoint next to it. So it's slash. And then v1 keyword generator. And then we copy that, paste it in. And then here we have to put in the keyword. So the keyword we're looking for is the one we generated in the step before. We can't fill it out like this. We have to again URL encode this, because otherwise we'll get an error because it cannot handle any spaces. So if we just go to text and binary functions and we do decode URL, and then we select the result from the previous step, we should be good to go. And then we also have to add in, of course, the authentication. We hit OK, hit save, and now let's just test it out with a random keyword. So let's literally say random keyword, and I do use a white space there to make sure it actually works. And then we get an invalid URL. So I forgot to put the method here, or the protocol I should say. All right, it's successful, and as you can see, we get an array returned with all of the keywords that are related. So we get random keywords, US, some random keywords, right? We get a lot of like related search queries. All right, guys, so I decided to skip setting up all of these ChatGPT modules and just walk you through it after I'd done it, because it needed quite a bit of tweaking. So I'm just gonna show you exactly how to set it up still, but just in hindsight, because I wanted to tweak things so it actually works 100% as we wanted to. So the first change I made is basically that we need to give a single keyword to the Ahrefs and not a keyword phrase, because whenever we would give a keyword phrase, so make.com, run custom code, it wouldn't give us any suggestions. But if we just give it make.com, it gives us actually a lot of good suggestions to incorporate into the article. So the next step is to create the blog outline. So you can pause the video here if you want to copy the prompt, or again, you can download it in the description below with the link for the resources, and I'll include all of the prompts, all of the JSONs to import right into Make. So yeah, you can just copy it, or you can pause the video here and then just copy it from that. Basically here we ask you to give us an outline with like heading tags, so 5 to 7 things, which would give us a good enough like 1,000 to 1,500 word blog. And then I give it my transcription. And then the second one, it actually is the same conversation. But what I do is I add back the message we just got from the assistant, right? So it gives us an outline. And then I ask like a follow-up question. So kind of how you would interact with ChatGPT. So you give it the full context window. And this actually gives us really, really good results, because if we were just to put in this without the previous history, it's less likely to give us like a good iteration. So what I do now is, so I get back the outline and then say, okay, now I did some keyword research. I will share it with you, only change it if necessary. blah, 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 blah. And then we add in the data we got from Ahrefs. And basically what it will do, it will change the headings around to include keywords or keyword phrases that I got from Ahrefs. So we know there's actually search volume for those exact phrases, and adding those into the H1, H2 tags works really well, as well as it makes the whole text more focused on keywords. And I compared the two texts between doing it without the extra iteration, and it's a huge difference. There's so much more like focus around the keywords, around the phrases. It's going to be one, a lot more likely to rank, and two, it's also a lot less likely to be flagged as AI content, because once you add in a lot of custom context into your AI prompts, it's less likely to be detected, as opposed to just saying like write a blog about subject. That is going to be really easy to detect as AI. But if you add in a lot of context, you basically get like more custom output. So then once we get the outline, we then go to the next step. And in this step, we are going to ask it to write a blog. So this is my prompt for that. Again, you can pause or you can download it in the description. So fairly basic. Use the outline and please output it in HTML so we can use it right away with like the right headings and stuff. And then I have an extra step that edits the blog to add in the video that we're originally using. So you can skip this if you don't want to do it. But in my case, I want to include the video on the page. I mentioned it before in the video that if there's a video on your blog, people spend more time on your blog, more time on the post. It's a good sign for ranking as well. So ask it to edit it in after we've written the outline. And this works really well as well because it makes it kind of more logical. So it's like, oh, if you want to see more about this subject, look at the video. If you're really like into costs because you're going to run this at some huge scale, you might want to include this in an earlier prompt. But what I always find is if you do more prompts, so like prompt chaining, you get better results in the end. And I'm not too concerned with the costs because I'm just going to use this for my own channel. I upload 2 to 3 times a week, so those couple pennies extra are worth it to do the extra iteration. Then obviously we also need an image, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to generate an image with a DALL-E. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't think these are the best images. So if you are going to do this and you're gonna post it on, let's say, your company website, I would highly recommend just investing in like a Canva editor that's gonna make like a nice template that looks the same across your website. I think that's like 100 times better. And there is no real AI alternative I found yet that can actually create really good images for blog posts. If there is, please comment down below. I would love to see it. I think nothing really beats just having a good Canva layout, writing the catchy title, adding in some custom images. It takes a couple minutes, and all the time you saved from this, it's going to be worth it. As well as you can just hire it out pretty cheaply on like Fiverr to still have this like almost fully automated. And as well as you could just build this into the Airtable. So whenever a new blog record is added into the Airtable, you just assign a task in your project management software for that VA, for that team member to create the outline, and then maybe to do some final edits and then post it on your blog, and you've saved like 95% of the work. Nonetheless, we created an image with DALL-E just so we have an image as well. And then what we do is we create a Google Doc. And then very simply, we just put in the name from the record. So if you remember, it's basically the channel name and then the title of the video and then dash blog, the result. So that's going to be the result. That's going to be this one where we wrote the blog. We add it in here. And since it is HTML, it actually has the right headings and everything, and the formatting looks good already. So we don't have to fix that later on. And then we have one extra step where we say insert an image to a document. So basically to add the image in, we're going to be doing it with the document ID, which is the document we created right in the previous step. And then we're going to append it to the document. And then the image URL is going to be generated by DALL-E. All right, guys. And then the final step, obviously, is going to be to log everything in the Airtable. So what we're doing is we're creating a record in the blogs table that has, the name that we used, dash blog. It has the keywords JSON, so if you want to reference like what kind of keywords it based the blog on later, or maybe if you want to, the person that checks the blog before uploading it, they can check out, what keywords it was based on. The outline in there, we have the final blog in there. We have the web view link, so from the Google Doc, so that, again, the person that uploads the final version online, they can check it out there. We have the file URL here, which is the URL of the DALL-E image that we created. We give that a name as well, and then we link it back to the video. So let me show you what this looks like in action so we can see if it works. You wouldn't believe this, but at this moment the Ahrefs API decided to go down. So yeah, I had to wait till the next day.
All right guys, it's now a day later and the API is actually back online. So let me just show you what it looks like when it runs. So it's taking 3 inputs at a time and then, the whole flow will just run. All right, so as you can see, it has run. So if we go to the Airtable, you can now see the blocks are in here. We can expand, we get the keywords that it's based on, the full block, we get the Google Doc link, we have like an image that's generated. So I click on this. Building an AI automated link page, introduction, why create it, benefits, sourcing quality content, utilizing Instagram. So I think these blogs are actually really good, a lot better than doing it like single shot, so only giving one prompt and then waiting for whatever comes back. I think these are a lot better, and then it adds in the video at the end as well, which if you upload this HTML to, let's say, WordPress or Webflow, it will be included there as well. And then we have this image. And yeah, like I said before, I think the image is better done manually, but even this one, I don't think it's that bad. All right, guys, so that's it. Now we have completed the setup. So if you want to download everything, again, one more time, you can download it with the link in the description. What do you want me to build next? That's my question for you. Leave it down in the comments below, especially if you made it this far. I want to know what you want to see next. What is the challenge you're trying to tackle? And I'll consider it for the next video. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe, and hope to see you all in the next one. Cheers.